All right. And we are back with the Blame Girl podcast with
Mr. Terry Wayne.
And we got Ellie Rodriguez in the house. Welcome, Ellie.
What up? What up?
Oh, not much. What's up with you? How was your weekend?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I haven't done a live pod this might be my first live pod. I don't know. I'm making up. I'm like, I don't remember the last time I did a live pod.
I don't know. There's just something about live that I love because people can interact if they want to. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't have people interacting, but when they do, it's pretty fun. So I like the live.
I love it. I love that you do this.
How was your weekend?
Good. No, let me see. I'm trying to think of, it was pretty low key prepping for an upcoming tenting of termites in my house, which is always a good time.
Oh yeah. I've had that experience.
You've had your house tented for termites. It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But first world problems, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah. You got a house for the termites to eat, am I right?
That's it. And they love it, and they're chomping away at the bits. Let me tell you, they are. But yes, but other than that, chill, low key, no shows this weekend. Okay. Just laid low, spend some time with the pap, which is nice. Sometimes you need to do that. You know what I mean? Like when it's always shows and always something to do, it's nice when I don't have shit to do, honestly.
I feel that energy, you know, because you'll get like a bunch of shows back to back or in weekends, and it just, yeah, it gets to be a little much, and you just want maybe a weekend here and there. So
I was gonna say, yeah.
Terry, what about you? How was your weekend?
How was my weekend? It's pretty uneventful. We just puttered around, did some shopping.
You just living a married life, huh?
Yeah, we ate some shrooms on Saturday, so that was fun.
Oh, nice. Y'all found a shroom connect out there, huh? That's good.
No, I still had some.
Oh, you still had them.
Vacuum sealer's a great invention.
Yeah, true. All right. So my weekend, I ended up at the Boca Black Box this weekend. 3 shows. Friday, the show, the headliner, something happened. He didn't make it. So Jimmy Schubert stepped in and headlined. I was the host, and then I hosted 2 shows on Saturday. The first show was amazing. Did a great job hosting. Second show, still good, but we just had a lot less people with that second show. So it was all right. And then Sunday, I did a pool day before the show. Don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Makes you tired. I was so tired working that night, you know. And then Sunday, chores as usual. So
go domestic.
We sound so boring, like boring adults.
Oh, wait, did I say I didn't do anything? I meant I was doing lines off a tiger's ass.
Oh, that's how I would have been hanging out with you this weekend.
It was wild.
But anyway, I guess we'll just get into blaming since we're too grown for good, exciting weekends. You know what made my weekend more exciting? Getting to watch Pinky Doll on TikTok. Have y'all heard of this girl? If you haven't, you have to go look her up. But Terry says she's making social media dumber and dumber. I say she's making social media richer and richer. Who's to blame, y'all? Go.
Okay, I didn't say she was making dumber and dumber. I said social media is just getting dumber and dumber.
That's it.
You know, you used to follow somebody for the right reasons, like because they were hot, you know, and you thought if I follow them and they comment and I message, they might sleep with me at some point in the future. You know, real wholesome, moral reasons. You know, that's what you did it for. Now it's just who can be the biggest ass, you know.
I don't know. I think people are following her because she's hot. Like, if you don't know who she is this NCF or some sort of non-player character on a video game.
NPC is what it's referred to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
NPC. What is that? Okay.
She imitates these non-player characters from video games. So she has different phrases, like her famous one ooh, that ice cream is cold or some bullshit like that. And then the thing is weird because she holds like a popcorn kernel and a flat iron waiting on it to pop. And she says it's like very robotic phrases, but she has millions of followers and makes 7K a day.
Okay, hold up. What's her name? Pinky what?
Pinky Doll.
Pinky Doll?
Yeah. And I will say, like, for my blame, I think it's just sexual. I don't think it's anything but that. I don't think it's dumber and dumber. I think I've been watching some TikToks and they say that she's found like a hack, right? These non-player, whatever, they're popular porn characters too, right? And so she's made her way to like sell porn online because that, everyone's not watching just to see her be like, say the same phrases over and over again, right? What do you think, Ellie?
I think
Jason Pellish in the house, by the way. Hey, Jason.
what?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Comments? Are you seeing comments? I can't see that. This is
Yeah. I'll read them in a minute.
Okay. I'm like, wait, who's Jason? It's just us. Okay. So what I think, Gio, is because I just looked her up. She does look familiar. I can't say I've actually seen her stuff, but now based on your explanation, what I think is that I need to find a new gig because what the hell? Like I'm doing it wrong. I'm not even hating. Like,
yeah,
don't hate the player. I just so you know, I subscribe to the creed of don't hate the player. All right, and if homegirl found a hack,
she found a hack. Yep.
I'm not hating on her. I'm hating on the fact that she's famous to begin with, or that she is making money off this, because she's not the problem with our society. She's just a symptom of it.
We want to consume that, but let me just ask y'all this: have y'all watched it? Jason in the house saying that it's Pinky Doll is cringe. I value being showed what Pinky Doll thinks because I want to learn diverse viewpoints. Okay, but for me, Pinky Doll, it's not just Pinky Doll. So people pick it up and they're like, "Oh my God, she's making this money." So all these people are doing it, and it's all these people acting fucking crazy and silly and doing all these little catchphrases. And maybe I hope they're making money. I really do, but I just think it is entertaining. I think it is.
At least they're making money on it now.
It's just like, what are they doing? But I don't watch it anymore. It was entertaining for like a week,
At least they're making money off of it now. Do you remember planking, for instance?
Yeah.
You remember that internet trend? Nobody was making anything off that. They were just being idiots. And then everybody just kind of like lemmings just fell in line. It was like, I can lay straight. Watch me lay straight and still. And it's like, of course you can. Everyone can. This is not a skill,
So is the internet getting dumber really? Or are they getting smarter? Are they getting paid now?
No. Social media is getting dumber. It's just that now corporations have got involved and they're like, oh, I can pay this person to advertise for us, or I can throw my ads on in front of them and they'll take a piece of it, but it'll get my product in front of millions of eyeballs,
That's marketing. Totally.
Yeah, that's the only thing we sell in America. The only thing we make in America anymore is influencers and advertisements. I don't know how this economy is surviving, to be honest.
I want to go back to planking though. That's how have you ever planked for more than like 3 minutes, Terry? It's hard.
No. I think you're you're misunderstood.
She got it in the brain. Like I say, did you get paid?
Not planking like the exercise, planking like the internet trend.
Don't know what planking is.
Yeah, it was a big internet trend that millions of people did. Where you basically you just lay really still and flat like this with your arms at your side in weird or unusual places, and then have somebody take a picture of you.
Yes,
and then
remember that.
Yeah, that's when it started to get dumb, and now it's just on a whole different level.
That's right. I do remember that. Oh my gosh.
To me about this whole trend is that she is acting like AI, right? So I think it's interesting to see humans jump into the AI role when they're about to take our jobs anyway, right?
Well, she's not acting like AI.
Her.
She's not acting like AI.
It is to me. It's like AI to me. Come on.
No, she's acting like, because there's this whole thing online about how we all might be living in a simulation. And then, just like a video game, there's NPCs, these non-playable background characters.
Yeah.
So it became this whole thing of just like, let's go online and say something weird or something off-putting or do something strange. That way you're like saying, oh, I might be an NPC. You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. All right. It's just fucking stupid.
How can I make money is what I want to know. Whatever.
Get it the same way you always make money on social media. Get enough people to follow you and the money will come.
No, it's the lives. Like when you go live, because that's what she does. She goes live and she holds that flat iron and her popcorn kernel, and she says her little catchphrases. Let me pull some of them up. And she fucking just rakes in the dollars, and people send her stuff like they'll send her flowers, and she'll go, ooh, flowers, ooh, ice cream, and that's why I'm like, part of it's sexual. She dresses up, her cleavage is showing, and other creative.
Sexual. Cut the bullshit. And if it's dudes throwing money at her, they don't care what she's saying. Like, don't at me.
Guys,
I don't want to do it.
Period. End of story. Like, I just see too much. You know what I'm saying? So I know if there are men on her live, that's why. Like, I will look at these lives and go crack up, and then I'll move on and then wait for the next one. My favorite, there's 3 gay guys that do it together. It's all kind of people. There's like these Asian women that lay on like in a bed, I guess, but on the ground, because maybe that's their culture. And then with like this big TikTok emblem behind them. And that's really creepy, because I feel like people are watching them sleep, and it's not just like, what kind of entertainment is that? When you just watch.
Well, yeah, I think about it like this. Okay, if you're somebody like old Pinky Doll there who's actually making something out of it and actually making some money off of it, but that's not the majority. The majority are just people with like, maybe a few thousand followers tops. They're not making millions of dollars. And they're all virtually, pretty young. I just want to like fast forward 15 years from now when they maybe have kids that are going on the internet or something like that. And then they have to explain what the hell they were doing, because it never goes away.
No, because the kids are going to be even more outraged. They might be online like way younger, So, I mean, I don't know. It's just Pinky Doll is just Cash Me Outside repackaged, like on OnlyFans. But okay, so Jason says most of American culture now is just like a dumb interpretation of stuff Japanese people decided was too cringy 20 years ago.
That's funny.
That is funny, Jason. Comedians think you're funny. Okay, and the image of moral and compassionate, successful hero is an identity that originates with Western men that now others are trying to appropriate. So, anyway.
I do think we evolve, by the way. Like, we evolve with the times. So even to your point of like kids in 20, 30 years, it's like we all have that thing that's cringe from 20, 30 years back. And maybe this will be ours.
Yeah, all of our movies, our music, definitely cringe. But I gotta say, guys, music is still cringe these days. And I don't know if you know this, but country music has been showing its true colors lately. To blame. Terry, why don't you lead this one?
I actually just heard this song for the first time. It's so funny because I had just heard it, and then when I was looking up articles for this week, I saw the article about it. Now, the article's about the video, which Ellie, did you get all that I sent you?
I got, you know what? As you're talking, I'm gonna open the link because I didn't have a chance to actually see it, but I got your email. So keep going.
I'll give you a brief. Basically, they got Jason Aldean, who is a country music singer. He's singing about how, it's the typical patronizing country music song, like, oh yeah, you're gonna cuss out a cop, or you're gonna do this or that. You try that in a small town. You know what I mean?
You.
Yeah. Like that's basically what they're doing.
They did a lot of symbolism.
But here's the problem. When they did the music video, they had a bunch of Black Lives Matter protests in the background of the video.
Wait, let me correct you, Terry. No, they didn't. They actually had a bunch of like Ukrainian and Canadian protests in the footage. They did, insinuate towards Black Lives Matter, but a lot of that footage wasn't even American protests. But what they did have, Ellie, is that they had the American flag, and he was performing the song in front of a notorious lynching spot. The sundown town thing, like I gotta bring my sundown town. It's perfect. I can bring my sundown town joke back. Now I gotta talk about Jason Aldean, but still, he made sundown towns popular again with this new song. So
no, I mean, some accountability has to be taken for that and what comes with it. But then who takes accountability once the damage starts to happen? I'm looking at the article now, and it's like, I just read the line, and it's like, and top Republicans are defending Aldean. And I'm like, of course they are. You know what I mean? Mind you, I'm not politically well-versed. You don't hear me talk about politics. And it's because I'm just ignorant to the topic. And I love living in my bubble of stupidity, as dumb as that. Like, I know what I need to know. I know enough. You know what I mean? Like, politics are all a joke to begin with, but that doesn't surprise me that I'm like, oh, of course Republicans would be okay with this.
they're like gonna be
well, and every piece of news that comes out is gonna have, especially when it's backed, when it's entertainer in the thousands, every single thing that we read is going to have some political agenda attached to it. So we also have to be really careful with just all those spins that are put on it. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think it's uncommon for art to have political spins, and even though it is not in line with my thinking, it's art, and it has that right wing because that's right for me, the right wing thinking. Just all like DeSantis is probably jacking off to the video, right?
Oh, totally.
Fucking hate this video.
Well, we've talked about this before, and in my early 20s, I was in 3 different country bands. I was the frontman, lead singer, rhythm guitarist, and
this is in Tennessee, where you've moved to.
Oh, I know.
How far are you from this fucking small town? That will let me know if I need to visit or not.
But that's why I got out of it. Was, country music used to be like these like really well written stories, and I'm talking about like Dolly Parton and Hank Williams, and even Hank Williams Jr. to some extent. But then it started twisting and going into this other direction, like your Toby Keiths and your "This is goddamn America, I'm putting my foot in your ass." You know what I mean? Like that whole what they call stadium country music, and that's when I had to get out of it. I had to get out of it, not because I didn't believe what they were saying, or not because I had a problem they were saying it. I just don't like being pandered to, and I don't like being used. You know what I mean? Like, I think the nail in the coffin for me with that particular brand of music was when they came out with a song that said, "If I could have a beer with Jesus," like how much do they have to paint it on that? I think that Bo Burnham,
and it reminds me, and like actually since the Jason Aldean song came out, that Bo Burnham that you first showed me, Terry.
Yes.
What is it called? What's his song? It's so good.
It's called Pandering, and it's basically he just comes on and he goes, he's just like,
doesn't matter if I sing Mandarin, you'll still know I'm pandering. He's like,
say the word truck and you'll jizz in your pants, like it's so crazy. how accurate it is.
They're like resharing that, associating it with Jason Aldean, and I've been loving it lately because I'm like, yes, that's exactly right.
It is, and they could go back and tell real songs. Like Jolene is one of the best songs ever written, in my opinion.
Love the song.
Jolene. You know what? And I hope I don't find out later that Charlie Roberson is gay, but that's not gay. I'm sorry. I meant to say racist. You know, you find out like your heroes are racist.
Not
like
gay. He can be gay. I meant racist.
I would like him better if he, no, I'm just kidding. But if he was gay, that's if he was racist, I would not like him. But he has great stories when Loving County, that's my favorite country song. And it's about a man that falls in love with a woman that he can't, like, out of his league. So he ends up killing the sheriff's wife and stealing her ring and giving it to this woman and being like, yo, don't show it to no one because just wait. But of course, she goes and shows it off. It's so huge and everybody knows he killed the sheriff's wife and he ends up in prison. So that's my favorite country song.
Listen, I just want to say two quick things. One, Jesus wouldn't have had a beer. He drank wine. Hello.
Yes,
Number two, Number two, more importantly, I never really like followed country music, but I just know that I liked it when I thought it was just about like dogs running away, wives dying, trucks breaking down. When did it get crazy? You know?
Yeah.
Well, that's when it got crazy. Like it didn't. There used to be story songs. Now it's all. Ever since
Willie Nelson, like, oh my God.
I will say that it was probably 9/11. Ever since 9/11, things just changed and went in this different, weird nationalism, ultra patriotic, the kind of, like they watch, Saving Private Ryan and jerk off. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird, ultra patriotic kind of conservative screw liberals attitude, and it just ruined the music. That's all it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with this song, I've enjoyed like just them breaking down all the symbolism in the video. Like I said, it's not American. Like it's so much propaganda.
Yes,
it's not
very much
protest even.
That's it.
I'm thinking it's American protest. You do it in front of a lynching spot. You throw a picture of sundown in there talking about sundown, knowing good and well sundown town scare Black folks. So
but that's what they're
wait, and then the Black Lives Matter. You said to me, boy, don't come to my small town, you get lynched. And what's crazy is there are other Black people that are like, it's fine.
You don't get lynched, you get shot. I mean, he even talks about it. And I got this gun my granddaddy gave me. And it's basically saying, and and again, that's another part of it.
And they're like jacking off that's a good line, right? That's a good line.
Yeah, no, it's not even that. It's just like, I do have a gun that my granddaddy gave me. You know what I mean? And
it's 5 years old, mind you.
It's like one of those people that has a concealed permit and says things in public like, oh, I carry it hoping I never have to use it. When deep inside, they're just like, oh, give me a reason to use it. Oh, you give me one reason to pull this thing and I'm throwing smoke. It's that base human aggression that we don't deal with. And then it just comes out in every single word.
Like an American aggression. Like that's here. The aggression in other countries is not expressed with guns. And that's a plus because
it's expressed.
Guns are so final, right? Like,
what are you talking about? No, that's crazy. They
don't have access to guns in other countries like they do here, Terry.
Yes, they do. Have you ever been to an African country in your life?
I was thinking more
or a South American country,
I was thinking like Western countries, but yeah.
Okay, well, this is South American countries. How about that?
Okay, fine. I don't know. I imagine they have a lot of guns because
yes, they got tons. But it's that basic human aggression. We don't deal with it. We know we're
school
screwed.
Shootings in those countries, though, you don't hear about a Colombian school shooting. I'm just saying that's an American fucking problem, dude. We got too many guns. We got way more than Colombia. Like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
They just put coke in the kids' lunches. That's why they don't have school shootings.
Yeah. they'd have more with the coke, but
no, they're more worried about.
They got a better culture, is what I'm saying.
We have more school shootings because we have to overanalyze our problems because we don't have real problems. We don't have real problems like lesser countries have real problems. They have problems like, oh, what am I going to eat this week? Or, hey, look, there's a mob coming to cut our heads off. Shit like that.
No, Terry, I beg to differ. I think we do have real problems, like, especially in Florida. Like, it's going to be a terrible hurricane season.
Yeah.
No, there's a
Florida might not exist anymore after this hurricane season. Guys, hurricane season really does spell trouble for Florida. Who's to blame?
You know who's to blame.
Because we're so ungodly.
No. The funny thing is when you see big name pastors, these big televangelists come out every time something happens, like I can't remember his name, Pat something. He came out after 9/11 and said that this was a punishment from God because we allowed homosexuals to run rampant, and God, yes, Pat Robinson, and God punished us by letting 9/11 happen. I wonder if a Republican-led state like Florida right now gets devastated by hurricanes this year, I wonder if he'll say the same thing. If there's no brown people to blame.
He's dead. He won't.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It was more of a hypothetical, but
I think what I think is to blame. I think it is still I don't think it's like ungodly. I think it's global warming.
Obviously.
The ocean is hot. It's hot.
Well, if you watch the thing,
like no shit.
If you watch that's the whole point. That's why they're saying this hurricane season is going to be devastating, not just to Florida, but that whole area, the Caribbean, the Gulf Coast, is because the waters are hotter than they've ever been before.
El Nino don't even want it,
Yes. And everyone who knows anything about hurricanes knows that the warmer the water, the more violent the storm.
It is hot.
Yeah.
It is so hot.
And you mentioned El Nino. Yeah, it's because normally those winds would be pushing in, but they're not pushing in as hard this year. So normally that would be something that was going to actually help us by keeping those out in the Atlantic Ocean. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year.
I don't know. I think that's where my blame goes, a little global warming. And if I think God was punishing us, I think he'd actually be punishing our governor for being such a fucking asshole. So,
well, it's every single one of those politicians that knows for sure that this has been happening, and it's been happening for a long time, but because they want to protect their interests, they want to protect their jobs, they want to protect their power. They just, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, we've known about global warming since the mid 70s.
And what's crazy is
it's been like 50 years.
They're not even making things like easier for people in Florida. Like, they really fucked in homeowners with insurance within the last 2-3 years.
Another major carrier for insurance just pulled out of Florida.
Not just the insurance, but immigrants are leaving the state. Who do we look to normally when we have a natural disaster to rebuild? The people.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean you know how to build shit. Like, for instance, in 2005.
But it's a matter of fact that's true that, like, since DeSantis has made it basically illegal for undocumented people to be here.
I don't disagree with you on that.
The construction industry has definitely suffered. So people that are still waiting to have their homes rebuilt from last hurricane season are still fucking waiting. So it does have an impact.
Well, I wanted to cite 2005, 2006, when we had the two hurricanes back to back within 2 weeks of each other. Most of the contractors that came down, and it was the same thing. They declared a state of emergency. And most of the contractors that came down because so many roofs got, damaged, destroyed, whatever. But those contractors came from like Alabama and Texas and Louisiana. They all came down here. I know that
contractors from Texas wouldn't have brought undocumented people with them.
I'm not saying they did or they didn't. I'm just saying that's what happened in that particular case.
If that happens and they end up and you're from like 5 states, you can't even drive here. So like we know it's bad, but I'm just saying, like, if hurricane season is really bad, and God is actually involved in punishing us, and that's why it's going on, it's our government. It made it worse.
Men. I blame men. I just blame all the men.
I can get on board with that.
Sorry, Terry. I'm just gonna blame
I'm sure you can get on board with that, Gio.
Go on.
No, I mean
I'm like, go on.
No, look, even the Bible says it's the money is the root of all. The love of money is the root of all evil. That's the same thing. That's people in power who are meant to be in positions to make decisions to govern the constituents that they have in their area. And they just, like I said, they don't give a shit about doing their job. They just consider what's best for them, what's best for their future, what's best for keeping them in power. And they will overlook everything for 50 years.
I want to just read some of Jason's comments. He's active. He said that Europe has tons of guns now in Ukraine. I don't know what that means. I think that was
I think that's a joke.
Yeah, I think he said he got muted or something. So it goes, what's the no, I'm not reading that. It's stupid.
Well,
what is the
guns were never illegal in
the
Ukraine.
Weakening magnetic field and the incoming emissions, electromagnetic energy. That sounds like something I have to research. I don't know, Jason. Maybe you're onto something. And then real estate owners and buyers are the one who rebuild after a disaster. Yeah, but they don't do it physically themselves. They hire people, and they're usually undocumented immigrants, is what I'm saying. Let's not pretend.
Well, he makes a good point there. Yes, it's the homeowners that rebuild through insurance companies, but more and more major insurance underwriters are pulling out of Florida, just like one did last month. One of the, I forget the name, but one of the major insurer underwriters for Florida just pulled out of Florida again. And this has happened several times. I know personally from my work, because whenever my insurance docs appointments went up, I knew it was because Suncoast was another one that pulled out and dropped 15,000 people off there. So I was up to my eyeballs in work with that.
Yeah.
But it's how far can you push it? How far can you push this whole, we got to take care of this group and this group will just have to deal with it. And, they'll make do. They always make do. No, they're going to eat you eventually. Like you said, not enough construction workers to rebuild these things. Well, what happens then? Well, then demand is higher than supply. So what happens? Now all these guys can charge whatever they want and put you on a waiting list for 3 months because it doesn't matter. Who else are you going to go to?
I want to dive into this a little bit deeper because it's not just that. I'm always on TikTok lately, and this girl was saying that in Broward, just how slow it was somewhere, wherever she was, right? She's like, it's eerily no one out, right? And then it made me think about the grocery store this weekend. I was at the grocery store this weekend, and it was slow. It was so slow that this was on a Saturday morning. One aisle was open. That's so fucking weird. And I know, and I think about it now, and my favorite girl that I would check out with at the grocery store, maybe an immigrant, I'm not sure. She seemed like it. Definitely had an accent, sweet girl, but not there anymore. You know what I'm saying?
What store are you talking about?
Publix, and she works at Walgreens, or she worked at Walgreens too, but she ain't there no more.
So you're saying the store was empty? There was a lot of people?
Empty. There wasn't a lot of people, and nor was my favorite checkout girl there, you know?
I don't really feel like that's a evidence of any kind of pattern. You went to the store and it was slow. Okay.
On a Saturday
It
morning,
happens.
I don't believe that.
I don't go grocery shopping on Saturday morning. I don't know who does, but I
Most
mean, obviously you do.
I've been on a Saturday and it's always busy. It's never just one aisle open.
I don't really feel
On a
like that's
Saturday?
evidence. I don't really.
I stopped
Yeah.
going on the weekends because it was busy. So I kind of do agree that the weekends when people are not working, like that's when they tend to go get. But I mean, I'd have to see like more of a pattern than to just one weekend.
If I go this weekend and it's like that, that's gonna really freak me out, you know. But I don't know. What else is freaking me out these days is that Florida is trying to only teach good parts of slavery. Who's to blame, guys?
You go right ahead, Ellie.
You say Ellie?
Yeah.
I am just like, listen, when I heard about that, I don't know like, it's tough for me because since I don't follow like politics, DeSantis, I don't know what is wrong with this man. Like during the pandemic, it was great because we got away with shit, but like, what is this man supporting? Like, we're going so backwards, and I want to vomit just thinking about the things that are happening in school and education. And that's why I just got to be like, you know what? We got to rely on the people. Yeah. We got a community, the people to just deliver the right messages because we are going so fucking backwards and it's
you got to teach kids the truth because it's hard to rely on public schools when these public officials are behaving the way they are now. They don't want you to know certain information for some reason.
And it's like, why? Right? Like,
why? For you to fucking just find it anyway. Like, what the hell? They don't want you to learn it for some reason. They want you to go listen to Jason Aldean.
I think it's actually a mixture of two things. One, obviously, the one that's, you know, the loud part is you know, they don't want to have to deal with our past. You know, they don't want to have to deal with the things, which is weird to me because I've been, you know, I had strong ties to Germany, obviously from my ex-wife who is German, and I stayed there for almost a year, and you know, even they acknowledge what happened, and that was less than 100 years ago that the Holocaust happened, and they just acknowledge it, and they say, yeah, sorry, you know, our grandparents messed up, whatever, and then they just move
to say your grandparents messed up. Jesus.
Well, they just went through it, but they just acknowledged it, took the hit, went through it, and now everything's fine. Now they've got the strongest economy in Europe, and the EU looks to them as a leader, essentially. I think if we did that with slavery, instead of just trying to cover up everything and trying to sweep everything under the rug, and no, actually, and what she's mentioning here, Jason in particular, was that they're teaching more that actually slavery benefited a lot of slaves because they learned new skills, which is weird to say. To actually put down on paper.
Fucking history book. Are you kidding me? Like
they're gaslighting. They're putting a spin on it. It's like they're gonna find a way to be like, but where's the lie? Right? Yeah. They're gonna find a way to present it where it's like,
you did learn skills. They did learn skills. Yeah.
We did. Yeah, they learned how to shut up and do what they're told. That's what they learned. But a couple of weeks ago, we did a story about a gentleman who called in to C-SPAN and said, well, why is it that Black community has never thanked the white community for freeing slaves? So it's along those same mentalities. But that's the loud part. I think the quiet part is more about trying to indoctrinate kids when they're younger, because the GOP and a lot of the conservative interest groups know that they're following, their constituents are dying off, and a lot of young people are leaning more towards the more progressive, more liberal side. So they're like, well, we got to get in schools and get ahead of this, or else we're going to be dinosaurs.
let me just put a alternate theory out, I guess. So there's this theory with this that if we stop teaching Black kids about slavery, they will stop feeling inferior to white kids. I don't know if there's something there, but I
There,
feel like at the
Say that
same
again.
time, in
Can you
order
repeat
to
that?
create that objective, you have to lie to them. Like, this shit fucking happened. This is how people treated us. This is why they still treat us like this today. So I
Can
don't
you restate that, Gio? Can you repeat that? Because I heard it, but I'm like, I want to make sure I heard it
they
correctly.
say that if you don't teach these kids about them being like, say you have a Black kid being brought up in school and they don't even learn that it was just Black people that were slaves, or slaves were mistreated, or this or that, they're going to have a more positive view of themselves. Yeah. Maybe, but you lied to them. You're lying to them. You don't
No.
white kids did it too. Like, how does this work in real practice? I don't know. But that's
there is actually there
heard
is
a Black man speaking to a school board saying like he don't want his kids to learn about this because XYZ. And I was just like,
well, there is actually a couple of studies that actually support what you're saying, Gio.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it was a famous study that was done on elementary school kids. I saw it back in the 90s. I don't know if it was from the 80s or the 90s, but that's when I saw it. Where they basically took a bunch of elementary school kids, they separated them into Black students and white students. And we're talking about third graders. We're talking about second graders, first graders, really young. And they gave them a chart. And on the chart was like 5 different faces. And they were all the same face. The only difference was that it went progressively darker.
Yeah.
And then they asked the kids to point out which was the good kid and which was the bad kid. So they put it in front of all the white kids, and all the white kids said, well, this one's the good kid. And they pointed at the white kid. And then they said, this one's the bad kid. And they pointed at the darkest kid. But here's the fascinating part. The fascinating part is they went to the Black students, did the same thing, and they did the exact same thing. They said, this is the good student and this is the bad student.
Yeah,
You can look this up on YouTube. It's still on YouTube today. It was a very famous report.
Yeah, it's because we're all brainwashed by white supremacy, and maybe that's why that man is thinking like that. And maybe, I don't know, because you said that there was a study that supported that type of thinking, and I can't.
That's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the kind of brainwash.
Look, the only thing I will say in reference to that is back in the day when information was less, like when information wasn't as readily available, if you end up living an entire life not really knowing about your past, sure, you might grow up being more positive because you never found out. That's just not the reality of what would happen.
But what happens when you do find out? Because let me say,
exactly what I'm getting at.
As a Black person growing up in America, going to a white school, when I got to college and I learned that Lincoln didn't free the slaves because he wanted to, I felt like, why would y'all have lied to me this whole time? You got me like damn fool. That's how I felt like. So when these kids grow up and they learn like the truth, like, no, they actually enslaved people and said that we were less than, and the civil rights happened you can't do that. You can't do that.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying. Like if in a perfect scenario where these kids will grow up and not find out, okay, it kind of goes back to like the, gaslighting, right? Like pretending let's only teach the good parts of slavery. One can argue if these kids grow up and never find out, but again, that's not going to be the case. And when they do find out, it's going to be absolutely catastrophic. And it's just, how can anything good come of that? And that's just pure narcissistic, like whoever is okaying these decisions and doing that, it's a group of narcissists. I mean, it's all textbook. You know what I mean? Like these behaviors, and it's
pretty simple to say, why would you want to do this? Easy, because the people who run things, the people who actually have money and power, you
Of
think they
course.
want everybody to be smart and well informed?
Of
No,
course. No.
no, they don't want that. And by the way, that doesn't just affect Black kids learning about their history. I didn't learn about Tulsa, Oklahoma until 2019. That was 4 years ago. The
Wow.
public education school, and I graduated early. I had a very high IQ, high test scores, all this. It was just never taught. Nobody ever mentioned it because it was way too recent, and they didn't want to. I'm sure it was very political, and they didn't want to kind of paint America as somebody who still did that kind of thing. Now they did teach slavery. We did watch Roots, I remember, in middle school, but
Jason's in the chat talking about slave skills. And he said the most expensive slave was the one who could make the barrels. Those dudes, Coopers, could demand all sorts of stuff like wages and conditions other slaves couldn't. And he was like a woodworker. And he says the cleaner you package it with more skill, the more you could sell it for. Coopers were like marketers. Listen, sell that.
Just notice how you're still saying slave, Jason. Notice how you're still saying slave.
That's some bullshit. Like, sell that shit in 300 years when, okay, I guess you can't forget about history. You're gonna repeat it.
Well, that's the funny thing, because if you ask those same people that are making that same argument, they'll make that same argument about tearing down Confederate monuments. They'll say, "Oh, well, it's just history. You can't erase history." Well, what the fuck is going on here then? Where you're trying to rewrite and change history. It's funny how it's okay when it's something you agree with.
And with the statues, we're not trying to rewrite it. It's still going to be in the history books who these motherfuckers.
Well, it doesn't matter because
anymore. Like, fuck that.
Well, that whole argument is stupid anyway. That whole argument is stupid anyway, because statues is not how we record history. We do that with books. We do that with museums. We do that with statues are meant for statues are meant for glorification. That's it. They didn't build the pyramids to record history. They did it to put their pharaohs at the top. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane when you make I can't even talk to some of these people because this
has been a good discussion. We're already like pretty deep in. I know you got to get going. You got to go right at 8. So let's interview our guest really quick. I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to have you back.
No, you're good. This was fun. I wish I wasn't in such a time crunch. I'm actually in the green room.
Really caught up on the topics, and then boom, it's time to go. You are on a time crunch, so let's get to it. How long have you? Okay, everyone, welcome Ellie Rodriguez. She is a well-known producer in South Florida. She's running 14 North Dania right now. She has her own show that she produces, Ship to Shore.
I did Ship to Shore for a while. Now I'm doing a show called Que Vola, which is a Cuban American showcase.
Okay.
So I produce a couple of shows, yeah.
You can catch her in Miami and Dania. Welcome, Ellie Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to be fast. How long you been doing comedy? How did you start?
Thank you, Gio. Thank you. I started comedy in 2007, actually, a really long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm trying to do the math. Can you tell us the years?
I think that's 15. I'm so bad. I'm at 15 years. We're going on 15? 07, 15?
Nice. Okay.
Do you hear the yelling in the background of the comics in the comedy class right now in Dania?
No. We can't hear it.
I started in 07 at the original Miami Improv in the Grove.
Okay. Wow.
Let me not even say the original, the second one, really, because the first one, I believe, was upstairs. This is the one that was downstairs in the Mayfair.
How did you get started, though? Was it an open mic or?
I did. I started, so comedian Neri Science, who he's been around even longer. I forgot what year he started in, but him and I worked together in corporate back in the day. And I remember in 07 when I wanted to start, he was doing comedy. And I remember he would go around and pass out his flyers.
Who?
So I Neri Science.
I don't know Neri.
Neri? You don't know Neri? If
you look up Neri, I'm sure you've seen him.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Neri's great. He's actually, I'll give him a shout out. He's headlining at the Improv Miami, August 24th. He's doing cruise ships right now. So Neri Science, and then Oni Perez, who moved to New York, and then I think he might have been in LA for a while. I think now he's with his wife in Tennessee. He's been around, but I know he's writing and doing other things, but he was another comic back in the day that was like really working the scene. And they both helped me write my first joke and do my first set at the Miami Improv, where I did an open mic bringer show. And then I actually got booked after my first open mic. I got booked.
Classes?
The what?
Did you take classes with them, or did you just?
No. They were just buddies of mine. I worked with Neri, and then Neri and Oni both just sat down with me and they helped me go through my first set, helped me like punch up some jokes. And yeah, it was great. It was super fun. And then I did my first mic in the Improv, got booked for a paid gig after that night because I brought like 100 people. It was insane.
That's great. That's enough.
Gio, my story's bananas because I walked out of there like, oh my God, this is fucking easy. Like, I can't believe, like, what are people even talking about? Comedy? I do comedy one time and look at me, I ate the biggest dick the second time I went on.
Expectations, right?
I opened up. Okay, so Angel Salazar, you know, the guy from Scarface, that did Check It Out. Okay, so Angel Salazar had this like variety show coming up, right? Like 2 months after I did my very first set. And apparently they wanted to mix like, it was going to be music sketches, and then they wanted stand-up comics in between. Now that I know how the game works, I recognize that while I did have a really good set, like for a first time, and it was a decent set, like I had 100 and I think like 110 people showed up. So these people were just like, oh, dude, we got to book this bitch. But they saw me and they were like, oh, she's going to bring mad people to the next show. So it was more so that, but they had me close the show. And I wrote a brand new set, not knowing that you don't fucking do that. Right? Oh,
yes.
Well, no, they had you close the show because they didn't want your people leaving after you went on.
Exactly.
That's an old booking technique. Whoever the bringer is, they're going.
You know that now.
That's it.
Had her headline. All right.
That's it.
I don't want to lose you too soon because we got a few minutes with you.
You're good. You're good.
Your favorite venue to perform at, and you cannot say
the Improvs. Too easy.
Too easy, right? I mean, and I say the Improv is my favorite just because it's home too, right? They give me the most opportunities. But I will say, if I'm just going to be objective and like look at some other fun places, I've had the opportunity to go on tour. Funny that we talked about Pinky Doll. I'm on tour with Pinky Patel, not to be confused with Pinky Doll.
Yes.
Another
Pinky TikTok star.
Another TikTok star, 5 million followers on TikTok, over 1 million on Instagram. She is
more than Pinky Doll. That's more than Pinky Doll.
Yeah, more than Pinky Doll, but she's killing the game though. So I've had the opportunity to perform at some really great spots. And let me tell you something, I'm pretty spoiled. I did the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and that was bananas. So it was really nice, like for a theater, like it felt so intimate, as big as it was. And then club-wise, I gotta tell you, Punchline Philly was also a lot of fun. But the Improv is still number one, but you told me I couldn't say the Improv.
No.
What about in South Florida? Do you have a favorite?
In South Florida, other than the Improvs,
they could be some club that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of, like, we used to do, Open Stage. It's so funny because when I got back into comedy, Open Stage was another place that became home. You know what I mean? And it was such a fucking disaster of a place, but it was fun.
Those
you know what I mean?
So that build you though. All right.
John Martin's. Let me mention John Martin's too. John Martin's was like my coming of age for comedy. I started doing comedy back in 2007, and Freddie Stebbins used to run that room. And it was like, I rarely ever got on the showcase. So I had to go and do the mic, and I wasn't getting on that mic until like 11:30, 12 o'clock. So I was like, it was just all drunk people in the Gables. And that's where I ended up learning how to deal with bullshit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Part of the growth, isn't it?
It was fun though. It's still one of my favorites. So
Harry, you know any of those rooms?
Open Stage, I'm familiar with. Did you ever get down to Speak? I know you're a Miami comic mainly, yes?
No, I didn't, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And that's one of those rooms that I heard so many great things about. And I'm like, I can't believe I never did it.
Oh, Speak was amazing. It was, and it was all those people you're talking about, Neary and Vargas, if you remember Vargas at all.
Of course.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Bringing that up, we
Yeah.
got Miguel Maldonado in the room, and he's like, Neri-san, Oni
Yeah.
remember you way back. I started in 2005, he says. All right, let's see, what else do we want? We're losing you soon. How much time you got? It's 1 minute till 8. You gotta go in.
Right. My show that's supposed to start at 8 that I don't technically start till like 8:15, 8:30, but I gotta go greet the comics and get it popping. So
do you have any projects you want to mention? You want to give out your socials before you got to get out of here?
Yeah, thank you. So you can follow me everywhere at Laugh with Ellie, and that's Leeli. It's not Eli. People fucking love to call me Eli, and I don't even give a fuck anymore. Just send me money. Call me whatever the fuck you want. So Laugh with Ellie on Instagram. I should do more on TikTok, and I should do more on YouTube, but whatever. I'll get my shit together eventually. So Laugh with Ellie. I'm headlining Gramps in Wynwood on August 11th. So that's a fun show. And yeah, I mean, just follow me on the socials. I always post where I'm going to be. And I'm just one of those people that I'm like, man, if people want to come see my shit, they'll find me. I'm like, I'm fucking whatever.
Y'all go Laugh with Ellie. She's a good time. All right.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. And by the way, 14 North Dania, I do that show every Monday. Gio's been on a couple times. Gio will be back here next Monday. We're doing something called the Great Comedy Debate, which is a new concept that I'm going to try to work out. So it's going to be fun. Yeah.
perfect for BlameGirl, right? All right.
There you go.
All right. If you got to go, that's fine. I guess we will just go ahead and pop in the Terry Wayne's words for white people then.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
No problem. Thank you for coming. We're doing a real quick and easy one this week. I want to talk about 1%. And when I say 1%, I don't mean, the 1%ers financially, just 1%. Somebody mentioned it to me a couple of months ago, and I didn't forget it because they were trying to lose weight. And they said, my goal is just to be, at the end of this week, it's just to be 1% better. And then I talked to them again, and they said, you know what? I changed that now after that first week. Now I just want to be 1% better every day, because 1% is it's such a small number. It's such a small percentage. Even if you're 1% better every single week at whatever it is you're trying to do, maybe it's lose weight, maybe it's work out more, maybe it's be healthier, maybe it's you want to write that novel, maybe you want to open that business. All you got to do is try and do 1% every single week. Just be 1% working harder, 1% moving forward. And at the end of 1 year, that's 52%, and you're almost there. At the end of 2 years, you're in the black. All you have to do is stick with that 1%. So when you look at a problem, or you look at an aspiration or a goal that you want to have, don't try to bite the whole thing off in one chew. Just give it 1% this week. And then keep doing that. Next week, another 1%. And then another one, and another one, and another one.
All right. That's a blame I can get behind.
I bet.
Baby step. Don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. I don't have anything coming up this week. Like she said, next Monday I'm at the Master Debaters. So I'll be doing probably the podcast from down there. Hopefully, as long as I get a new car.
Well, and as always, you can get the book on Amazon. It is Unclaimed Ashes. It'll be the first one you find. It's written by Terry Wayne, and it's okay.
And we love you. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks.